Awesome. Thank you to those that did that in advance. And so we're super excited to welcome Amber tonight. Amber and I just had a chance to meet this last weekend at the Aurapalooza that we hosted at Metamorphosis Center and get to know each other a little bit, although Amber sold out. So I had to just say hello in between sessions when I'd see her run to the bathroom or a drink before her next client. So super excited to have you here tonight, Amber. And I know for a lot of our Metamorphosis regulars, they haven't had an opportunity to meet or get to know you. Do you mind taking just a couple minutes to talk about who you are, what you do before we kick off the content of tonight?
Absolutely. So my name's Amber Maier, and I am a healer and a channel and a teacher. And I have studied lots of different types of healing modalities. I'm really kind of like a kid in a candy shop when it comes to healing modalities. Like I'm interested in all of them and want to check them out. So I am a Usui Reiki master, a Karuna Reiki and pranic healing practitioner. I'm a certified theta healer, certified angel alchemist, just to name a few of the things that I've studied. I like to learn about it all and then just incorporate it into the work that I do. I got into this work because I really struggled most of my life, both with chronic pain and fatigue and depression. And I felt like I tried all the things you're supposed to do to help yourself get out of that cycle. And I had a really hard time and just wasn't moving forward. I felt like I just struggled to get through each day. And my life totally changed once I recognized that I could heal myself and my life with energy and angels and others, other spiritual allies, including the Akashic Records, has really helped me. And that's really why I love doing what I do, because I want others to be able to experience the amazing healing that I have received to help people just enjoy life and really live their fullest life. So that's why I do what I do. You are muted, Laura.
You'd think after like 4 months on Zoom, I'd get this down. Sorry, people. It's been a long work day. Thank you, Amber. And let's just go ahead and kick off. I'm very excited to visit my own Akashic Records. Let's just get going.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we have a full hour ahead of you. Really what we're doing is just a really quick crash course on the Akashic Records. So you're going to learn the basics about what the Akashic Records are, how they can help you, really how it all works. And then the fun part is that you're going to be able to experience the records for yourself and get some guidance about your your soul's purpose in this lifetime. So I'm going to be leading you through an exercise to first to ask a question about your life purpose to your intuition, and then you're going to ask the same question after I help you get into your records so you can feel the difference. So it's going to be fun. And so if you don't have paper and a pen, I would make sure you get that at some point during this session so you can jot some notes down as we go. So the Akashic Records are an energetic library of your soul's journey over every lifetime. A lot of people think of the Akashic Records as a library, so you often hear other terms like the Library of Your Soul or the Book of Souls, different terms like that is talking about your Akashic Records. And another way that I like to think about it is almost like a database. Like you would go into a database and search for different information. That's really what you do with the Akashic Records. You could think of it like the internet as well, going to Google and, using it as your search engine and finding the information that you're looking for. And so it has just tons and tons of information about your past lives and really every choice your soul has ever made. So it can help you understand your past, it can help you understand your current circumstances, and it can help you understand at this point in time what your future is looking like based on the choices that you're making right now. And so Akasha is, that word means primary substance out of all things that are formed. So basically it means that it's energy in its earliest state. And the cool thing about the Akashic Records is that everyone has access to their own Akashic record. So you're all going to be able to get into your record today and get some helpful guidance to help you understand your purpose in this lifetime. So the Akashic Records can help you in just a ton of different ways. I love the Akashic Records because I find it to be just an amazing tool for your healing journey. you can get just tons of insight and guidance from your Akashic records as well. And so in a reading, you can gain insight about your soul's purpose in this lifetime and really understand the lessons that your soul is learning and get all sorts of other answers to questions that you may have to really help you heal and move forward in this lifetime. I often find past life experiences that pop up in Akashic record readings, or I also get a lot of views about limiting unconscious beliefs, and those are things that can really impact the life that you're living now, and we'll talk a little bit more about those too. So one of the big things that I like to look into when I'm in Akashic records, and what a lot of people are interested in learning about, is their life purpose. And honestly, like if I had an hour session with someone doing an Akashic record reading, I probably could stay just on that question. So I usually just take like the first like 5 or 6 things that come in, because there's all sorts of things that go into your life purpose in this lifetime. So before each lifetime, your soul really sits down and decides what soul growth and lessons and experiences and missions that it wants to experience in this lifetime, and then creates circumstances in the life that you're moving into to help you achieve those things. And having a better understanding of your life purpose can help you have a lot better idea of the bigger themes that are happening in your life and understand what your soul is wanting to experience. And it really helps you make sure that you're staying on path and achieving the things that your soul set out for you to do. And so that's really what we're going to be digging into your records tonight, is to get an idea of what your purpose is in this lifetime. And sometimes that will come up as lessons that you're learning or things that need to heal. Sometimes that comes up as gifts that you have that you're meant to share with the world. So lots of really fun, interesting information can come out just in that question alone. A big theme that I see that comes up in Akashic record readings that can be really helpful for you too is to understand what lessons your soul is learning. So a big part of the purpose is to grow and develop as a soul and really continue to raise your level of consciousness. And so if we leave a previous lifetime and we haven't completely mastered a lesson, what happens is then we bring that lesson into your next lifetime. And then if you don't master that lesson in that lifetime, then possibly the next lifetime. And so oftentimes lessons will show up as patterns. And so the Akashic records can really help you understand what patterns you have in your life too. And so we have positive patterns, and sometimes we can have really limiting and not helpful patterns as well. So I think you all probably could stop and pause for a moment and think about a frustrating pattern that you have had happen over and over in your lifetime. For a lot of people, this happens with people that they attract into their lives, maybe someone that you date, maybe you kind of date the same person over and over. They look different, but they act the same. Maybe they don't treat you with respect, or you find that you end up having to take care of every person that you date. You can dig into information like that and figure out what is causing those patterns in the Akashic records. Other patterns that are common are money issues, like always having just enough money but never really getting ahead, or always having self-doubt pop up and kind of hold you back from where you want to go in life. So those are just a few examples of different patterns that different people experience, and then you can understand what is causing those. And oftentimes what I find is these patterns are either caused by lessons that we haven't mastered and that we're still working on achieving in this lifetime, or they can be the outcome of unconscious beliefs that we carry with us from various areas too. And so what unconscious beliefs are, well, first of all, you can create unconscious beliefs from a lot of different places. So you can create unconscious beliefs from when you're a small child. So like when you, in this lifetime, before you're 7 years old, you create all sorts of belief patterns and systems in your life. You can carry unconscious belief patterns from the collective conscious. You can carry unconscious beliefs from 7 generations of your ancestors. And then you can also carry unconscious beliefs that you learned in past lives. And I very often see information about unconscious beliefs that come from past lives in Akashic record readings. I should also mention, I was going to mention this right away, is that if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, and I have that up so I can see any questions that you have, and I'll try to answer them along the way. Also, feel free to just wave at me, and if you want to come on and unmute yourself and ask your question, that's totally okay too. Conversations are good. So these unconscious beliefs that I was talking about, they're very often the root causes of different patterns and fears and behaviors that you have in your life. And in an Akashic record reading, you also can get a lot of glimpses into your past lives as well. It's a little bit different than past life regression. So like a past life regression is where you go into a deep meditation and you experience a past life for yourself, and you can get a lot of details and of information of different parts of that lifetime. The Akashic records typically show just kind of a snapshot for what part of that lifetime maybe created some of the challenges that you're having in this lifetime. You can also uncover vows and understand where you have different karma going on in your lifetime too. So I was doing an Akashic record reading for a woman once, and I really loudly heard from a past life that she had made a vow that she would never have children, and I told her that, and then she ended up telling me that she had a cyst on one of her ovaries in this lifetime. So a lot of times the karma that we have from our past lives can carry through with us to this lifetime, either energetically, like these unconscious beliefs, but they can actually manifest physically as well. And so then she's been doing some healing on that vow to really be able to heal herself physically in this lifetime too. The Akashic records can also really help you understand the relationships in your life. So as souls, we travel with different soul groups, and likely the people that you have close relationships with in this lifetime are people that you have traveled many, many times with in your soul group in different capacities. So, if they're your spouse this lifetime, maybe they were one of your children or your parents in a different lifetime. And so these souls that travel with each other like to experience each other in a lot of different ways. And the Akashic records can really help you understand the history and the purpose of relationships that you have. And it can also help you really understand some of the challenges that you have with the relationships in your life, and can have some really good guidance on what you can do to try to heal that relationship or help it work a bit more smoothly for you. Then one of the things that I think is super fun about the Akashic records is it's a really great place for you to explore and develop your own spiritual and psychic gifts too. So a lot of people who are interested in this work are also interested in learning about what gifts they have, and you can really understand your soul gifts and spiritual gifts in the Akashic records. A lot of us have lived many lifetimes where we've had a lot of different abilities, and you're able to tap in and access that into your Akashic records and understand what gifts are available to you in this lifetime, and get some insight and understanding on how you can help develop those gifts and move forward with them too. So there's just a ton of healing that can be available in the Akashic records. One, it can just be super interesting and you can get really great guidance, but there's lots of healing that's available too. And just getting answers to questions can be really healing, because what you're doing is you're making what is had been unconscious conscious. And so then it's kind of like turning a light onto the issue, so you can actually see what the issue is. So then you have awareness around it, and then you can start to make different decisions, and you can really change your actions and your behaviors based on that. So you can actually make changes in your life based on those too. When I do Akashic record readings and something comes up that needs healing, I like to pull in different healing modalities into the records as well. So if anyone here does some different healing work and you get into your records tonight and find something that you would like to heal, feel free to use that as well. I often bring the angels in to do healing, and then I also do a lot of theta healing work in the records as well. So you can ask pretty much anything in the Akashic records. So in Akashic record reading, I should clarify, you typically ask a specific question. The more specific question you ask, the more specific information you're going to get. You typically don't just open your records and say what's available to me now, because you have hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes of information in the records. So so a lot of times that can be a more challenging question to ask right away. And but you can pretty much ask any question you like. The only questions I would stay away from in the records is a straight yes or no question. And the reason why I wouldn't ask a yes or no question is that you have free will in this lifetime, and so the guides in your Akashic records are never going to tell you what to do. And so, if you're trying to decide between a couple things, a better question would be, you know, what value or purpose would this decision serve for my soul versus this one? And so you can kind of, it's almost like pros and cons for looking between different choices instead of should I do this or should I do that? So then you can decide. I am seeing a question if I can expand on an explanation of karma from past lives. So karma is basically energy that sticks with you from a past life. And so you can create karma between two souls, like two individuals. So if you had a hard experience between you and another soul in another lifetime, and then now you're reincarnated with that soul in this lifetime, you can have this different energy between you that can create some challenges between you. And you can also create karma from different decisions and actions that you made, and you can carry karma with you from any vows that you made as well. Hopefully that helps a little bit. So with questions on the Akashic records, you can really ask anything you want, but because there is so much healing available to you in the records, I suggest that you ask questions that really will help your soul grow. And so I just wanted to share a few questions that are probably the most common ones I would say that I hear overall in the records, just to give you an idea of questions that you could ask in your records in the future. So I often hear, what is my soul purpose in this lifetime? And that's the question I'm going to have you ask when you get into your records. It's for you to get guidance on that. What lessons are my soul learning in this lifetime? What needs healing in my life, and how do I go about doing that? What growth opportunities are there for me between these two choices? Why does this pattern keep showing up in my life? So, and then you would, state what that pattern is. Why do I have so many challenges with a specific relationship in my life? So again, this might be your spouse, your sibling, your mother. And then what can you do to heal that relationship? How can I best support my child? What do they need from me? What are my psychic or spiritual gifts, and how do I develop them? And then just what does my soul want in this lifetime? So those are some common ones that I hear that you can get some really interesting and helpful information for. So when you are reading for yourself, there's just a few guidelines. One is you want to make sure that you're sober, and in general, you want to do that with any sort of intuitive work that you do, so you're a little bit more clear in the mind and body to get the information. I'm going to be sharing what's called a pathway prayer for you to get into your records, and when you get into your records, you want to use your current legal name. So if you have like a maiden name, you just want to use whatever your legal name is now. And then you want to be responsible for your time in the records. So you want to open your records, get the information that you need, and then close the records. You don't want to just say, I'm going to be really spiritual today, and I'm going to open up my records, and I'm going to keep them open all day, and then I'm going to close them at the end of the day. Likely what will happen is you're gonna get like a really big headache because you're accessing some really higher energy when you go into the records, and so your third eye and your crown's gonna be really open, and if you're not used to having a lot of that energy, you can start to get a lot of pressure in that area, and some of you may even get that just in the short amount of time that you're going to be in your records tonight. So if you start to feel pressure in your head, that's what it is. And then just you always want to make sure you ground yourself after you give yourself a reading as well. And if you ever get to the point where you're wanting to read for others, just some general guidelines is that you always have to ask for permission to get access to someone else's records. You don't want to just try to open someone's records because you're curious. It really becomes like an invasion of privacy. And so integrity is really important in the records. And if it's lacking, you're not going to have access to the information. You also want to maintain confidentiality because you can learn really personal things about people. And of course, you want to be just as kind as possible too. A lot of times the things that people are asking about are really challenging for them. And so as much kindness and compassion you can bring to the conversation is really important. So let's talk a bit about how it works and how you're going to receive information while we go into your records. Like I mentioned, I am going to share a pathway prayer process with you. Basically, it's a prayer that has an energetic imprint that is going to help you get into the Akashic records. There's a variety of other ways you can get into the records too. You can go through deep meditation, intention. There's a variety of different things. But for folks that haven't had a lot of experience in the records, the pathway prayer will help you get in pretty easily. And then the one that I'm going to be using is from a book from, it's slightly modified from a woman named Linda Howe, and she has several books out on the Akashic records. So that's also a resource for you too, if you're interested in learning more and getting back into your records. She has a great book that's just called How to Read Your Akashic Records, and it's a real great step-by-step guide on how to use your records. So I want to talk a little bit about the guides that are going to help you get information when you're in the records. You're going to hear me use the terms lords, masters, teachers, and loved ones. That's the language that Linda Howe uses in her pathway prayer. Different teachers use different names. And the one thing that I have noticed though with the Akashic records though, compared to other intuitive work that I do or other channeling work that I do, is the guides are pretty like nameless and faceless. You just get the information. So a little bit different, is if I were going to do some channeling from angels, I'm going to know which angel I'm channeling from. They're going to have a really specific different feeling and energy between the different angels. And in the Akashic records, you just kind of get the information. So most people can't see the guides that they're getting the information from. There's different belief systems in if angels are involved in the Akashic records or not. Linda Howe, for example, does not believe that the angels are, but from my experience, they are. There's 3 archangels that oversee and have created the Akashic records, and that's Archangel Jermael, Archangel Raziel, and Archangel Metatron. And so I will often call them into the records too, as well. So I want to talk a little bit about how you're going to get the information too. For those of you that have your cameras up, how many of you have done some sort of intuitive work before? I'm guessing probably a lot of you. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So you don't have to have experience doing intuitive work to get into the records, but it can just be helpful to understand a bit on how you're going to get the information. And everyone receives, I use psychic and spiritual interchangeably, so I might say psychic gifts, spiritual gifts. When I'm saying that, I mean the same thing, but everyone receives information in a different way. And so I just want to talk a little bit about a few of the different ways that you might get information in the Akashic records. And you might get information in the Akashic records in a different way than you do when you're doing some of your other intuitive work too. So just be really open to how it comes in. So I want to talk just really about the 4 main clairs, so clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. And so these are typically the 4 clairs or spiritual ways that you're going to get information when you go into your records. So clairvoyance means clear seeing, and I think this is the clair that people are most familiar with. This is when you see different pictures or images, and that's how you receive spiritual information. Then you really just have to determine what those symbols mean to you. And one thing I like to talk to people about when I'm talking about the clairs is just how very subtle the information that comes in can be. And so I think some people, when they start doing this work, they expect it to be really drastic. So, they expect almost like to have like a vision flash in front of their eyes. And it really is probably not going to be that intense for you. It's probably going to look like your imagination. And so then clairaudience means clear hearing. And so that means getting information through different sounds. They can be external that you hear with your ears, but typically it sounds more like the voice in your head. And so that's where things can get a bit confusing for people because it's so subtle. You're trying to differentiate between, is this just my voice or is this something else? And I think the best advice I was ever given as I was developing my own spiritual gifts was just accept that it's going to feel like you're making it up. Like the sooner you can do that, the better off you are, and that you're not expecting some grand thing. I think, when I started, I had read all sorts of books and watched videos of all the greats, that could see spirits with their physical eyes and things like that. And for 99.9% of people, it's not like that. And it's much more subtle. And I think I was waiting for like an angel to come in the room and just smack me across the face and have a conversation with me. And it's just usually never that direct. And so it's going to sound like your voice. It's going to look like your imagination. It's going to feel like your feelings. And what I had channeled from spirit about that was basically that we're spirit is part of us, we're part of spirit. And so the message was kind of like, silly girl, why are you looking for something outside of yourself? Spirit's within you. And so that's why it's always going to sound like it comes from you. So just be super open to anything you get, whether you think it looks like your imagination, it sounds like your voice, any of those things. So clairsentience, that means clear feeling. And so this one is the clair that's often really associated with those who are empaths. And I bet we have lots of empaths that are here and that are familiar with that term. And so you feel everything. You might feel other people's emotions. You might feel what other people are feeling in their body and your body. And it can be challenging, but it can be a super great gift too, because you can feel all sorts of different things in your body to get spiritual information and messages as well. And then clear cognizance. So this one means clear knowing. So this is more like if you just suddenly get a download, you just know what something is, you have no idea where it came from. And this one can be one of the more confusing ones to figure out when you're in the Akashic records, doing any sort of intuitive work, is because you just suddenly know something. And so then that oftentimes people are like, did I just make that up? Because you have no idea where it came from. But again, just anything that you get when you go into the Akashic records tonight, just write it down. Whether it's a feeling, an image, something you just know, just go with it. And try not to get too much in your logical mind to get in your way of getting the messages. Now we're going to get ready to go into the exercise. This is going to be the real fun part for everyone. What we're going to do again is I'm going to first get you just a little bit grounded and relaxed, because that's something you always want to do before you do any sort of intuitive work. I'm going to have you access your intuition and ask about your life purpose and give you a couple minutes to jot down any information you get, and then bring you back. And then I'm going to lead you through the pathway process into your Akashic records, and we'll ask that question too. So before you do any intuitive work, you want to make sure you're relaxing your body and your mind and you're grounding. A lot of times, a lot of us live most of our day in a really, really mental space. And so your mind just gets really busy and really loud. And then when you have a really loud mind, it's hard to really hear the soft voice of your intuition. So I want you just to relax and close your eyes for a minute. Take a couple just deep clearing breaths. And allow yourself to breathe deeply and exhale slowly. Another trick for the busy mind is that the number of breaths that you take in a minute correlates with how many thoughts you have in a minute. So the more you can just really slow your breathing down, the more you can just really slow down all of the thoughts in your head. And so with each exhale, just allow yourself to let go of the stress of the day and become more relaxed. And I want you to bring your awareness to between your brow. Feel what you feel there. Is there any tightness? Any tension between your brow? Just imagine yourself breathing into that space. And when you exhale, just release any tension you're holding in your brow and on your forehead. Then bring your awareness down to your jaw. And again, look for any tightness you have there. Are you clenching your jaw? Or is your jaw nice and relaxed? Breathe into that space and allow yourself to completely relax your jaw. And bring your awareness down to your throat and your neck. Breathe into that space, and as you breathe in, just breathe relaxation in and exhale out any tension. Then move down to your shoulders. Breathe deeply into your shoulders. And with each exhale, allow your shoulders to just drop further and further in relaxation with each exhale. Allow yourself to just really sink into your body, sink into wherever you're sitting. Bring your awareness to your chest. Breathe relaxation in. Exhale out any tension. Bring your awareness to your stomach. Find the tight and uncomfortable spots and breathe into those. Breathe out any stress. Breathe all the way down your spine. Exhale out any stiffness, any pain, tension. Sink into further relaxation. Then breathe all the way down your legs, allowing your muscles to fully relax. Now that you're fully relaxed, I want you to bring your focus to the bottoms of your feet. Imagine cords of energy coming out of the bottoms of your feet, going through the floor, deep into the earth. Now you're grounded to the earth. Now that you're relaxed and you're grounded, I want you to ask your intuition, what is my soul's purpose in this lifetime? I'm going to give you a couple minutes to jot down any feelings, thoughts, words, phrases that come to you. I'll give you just another minute here to finish up with your intuition. Now, have you finished up what you're writing and getting for your intuition? And we're going to move into your Akashic records now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to slowly read the pathway prayer for you because I want you to follow along in your head. And when I say your name, I want you to silently say your full legal name. So first, middle, and last name. Went in that spot. And then I will announce that your records are open. And I'm going to ask you at that point just to sit and see what you experience when you move into your records. Everyone experiences moving into the records differently. And again, it might have to do with really kind of what one of your primary clairs are. And so some people move into their records and they see the same image each time. Some people move into their records and they hear a certain thing. Some people move into their records and they have a certain feeling. For me, it's more of a feeling than anything that I see, but it's the same each time for me. So I want you just to, see what you experience first when you go into the records, and then I'll have you ask the same question. All right, so here we go. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Great Spirit, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know myself in the light of the Akashic records, to see myself through the eyes of the Lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of myself have for me. Help me to know your name in the light of the Akashic records, to see your name through the eyes of the Lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of your name have for him or her. Help me to know your name in the light of the Akashic records, to see your name through the eyes of the Lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of your name have for him or her. The records are now open. Take just a moment to feel what you feel, to see what you see, experience what the Akashic records feel like to you. And then when you're ready, go ahead and ask in your records, what is my soul's purpose in this lifetime? I'm going to give you a few minutes to write down anything that comes to you, feelings, images, thoughts. If you feel like you've got enough information from that question and you want to ask another question while you have your records open, feel free to do that now. You could ask about lessons. You could ask about your spiritual gifts. I'll give you just a couple more minutes while your records are open. So ask any questions that you would like to have answered while you're in there. Now we're going to go ahead and I'll come back. And we're going to close your records because, again, like we talked about before, we want to make sure that that we close them after we open them. And when you're first starting to access your records, you want to do it in shorter bits of time, and then can expand that time over a period of time. And so how we close your records was with another prayer again. It's just a lot shorter. So I'll read that out loud and have you follow along in your head. I'd like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. I'd like to thank the lords of the Akashic Records for their point of view. And I'd like to thank the Spirit of Light for all knowledge and healing. The records are now closed. Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. Then from here, you want to ground yourself. So if you have a way that you like to ground yourself, feel free to do that. Otherwise, a simple one is just to, again, bring your awareness to the bottoms of your feet and make sure that you're growing those energy cords out through the bottoms of your feet, through the floor and back into the earth. And then breathe up some of that earth energy up into your body. Is there anyone who's willing to share their experience of what was different about accessing your intuition versus the records? You can unmute yourself, you can put it in the chat, whatever you prefer. What was different about it?
I'll go.
Thanks, Carol.
So what I did notice, I sense and feel things. I don't necessarily see things. So when I got to the records, all of a sudden full body chills. So then I knew I was in a different spot than just being in my intuitive self. And when I was doing my intuitive part, I just get little clips of what I think I should, you know what I mean? Like little, but when I got into the records, it was longer descriptions than what my intuition came up with. And a little bit of telling me what I could do versus like letting go of fear to get my gifts on board, you know, things like that. It was just more information.
Yeah, Very cool. That's how I experience it, and I think what I hear from a lot of people too. I think you described it really well. Like your intuition is just like real short, quick words, feelings, and then you get into your records, and then it's just a lot more information. So it's not necessarily that one's different than the other. It's just the records like really opens it up and expands it. And so I love to write when I do channeling, and what I find like with my intuition, I'm writing like 5 words or something. And when I channel the records, I sometimes will write pages and pages in my journal. Like I feel bad that you only have about 10 minutes in your records tonight, because I know some of you probably still wanted to keep going, but that was a great way to describe it. I also experience my records when I go into it with different feelings too. And everyone's is different, so don't compare yours to mine or Carol's and think you're doing yours wrong, because it's I think within intuitive stuff is always kind of like the grass is greener on the other side. Like when I hear people get into their records and they see this like really cool library or building or something, like, wow, I'm like, I want to do that, but I feel a lot too. And so when I get into the records, I can just feel my crown opening more and more and more. And then when I first get into someone's records, it's almost like I go through this like tight chute, where it's like I'm really compressed, and then all of a sudden the energy opens up. And that's what I feel every time. And that lets me know like, yep, I'm in. So it's good to pay attention to what you're seeing or feeling, to know that you've accessed it over and over. Does anyone else want to share what they experienced as the difference between your intuition and the records?
I would like to go.
Awesome. Please do.
Well, like you guys mentioned, I experienced the same way, the intuition, short and sweet. For the Akashic records, I would say is my second time in going. It's very trippy, really. The first time it was like a library with plants. The second time it was in a very sacred space. Like each time you ask a question, it goes somewhere different. And so it would just be a voice that I would hear that would be different, and the presence of the angels. So it was a pretty quiet experience.
Thank you for sharing. I love that you kind of moved to different places and with each question. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I also want to open it up just for questions in general that people have about the records. Is there anything that any questions anyone would like answered? Judy?
Yeah, thanks. So I got moving things. Well, I got a real sensation in my throat, but then I got moving things. And I just kept on saying, I don't understand this. Why are you just giving me moving things? And then I got the word forward finally. So I'm assuming maybe that we'll just keep getting things on this meditation as throughout the week or the next few days. Does that often happen?
Yeah, so sometimes, the way that spirit communicates with us is almost like learning a really different foreign language. And so we have to like really translate what we get sometimes. And so sometimes when we first hear the message, it's just like, what is that? And then over time, spirit will kind of bring in a little bit more information to help kind of expand what they've meant by it. So I would definitely keep looking for information on really what that message was about moving and moving forward, so you can get some more information there. And Lynn is saying that the Akashic context seems more definite and concise and direct than intuition. Just sharper. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. That's a really great way to describe it. Any other questions that anyone has? You're a pretty quiet group. Well, if you had a lot of fun in your Akashic records and you want to do more of it, There's a couple things you can do to continue learning about the Akashic Records. One is you can do some self-study. There's some really good authors out there about the Akashic Records. One of them, I actually have the book right here. It's How to Read the Akashic Records by Linda Howe. She has a few books, but this is kind of her beginning one. It's step by step. There's another really good author named Lisa Barnett. And so if you're more interested in like the galactic connections with the Akashic Records, she's a really great one to read for that. I also have a deeper dive Akashic Record class coming out that it'll be coming out in September. I'm going to announce the dates in August. So if you're wanting to study a little bit more with me and work on your healing journey in the Akashic Records, you can keep an eye on my website, which is just ambermaier.com, or my Facebook page, which is Intuitive Healing with Amber Maier. And I'll be announcing those dates soon. If you're interested in a private Akashic Record reading, I'm available for those as well. You can always come see me at Laura's Center at Orapalooza. I think the next one is August 15th. I also do readings over Zoom, just like this, and I also have an office in my home in Apple Valley if you're in the Minnesota area.
And Amber, I'll make sure that when I send out the recording tomorrow, I'll have all your contact info in it, so people don't need to worry about how to reach you. I'll make sure all that's included.
Wonderful, thank you. Has anyone come up with any questions? It was super fun to hang out with you all tonight. I hope that you had a lot of fun in your records and were able to get some good guidance about your purpose in this lifetime.
Thank you so much for being with us for the past hour and sharing that guidance and prayer. And everybody have a good night and weekend.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love and light. Good night.
Thanks so much.